You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Welcome back, entrepreneurs, to another amazing episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I am, of course, your host, Phil Better, and today's guest is one of, if you want, the smartest author alive, if you will. A little play on words there. I have Chris Benetti here, founder of the where is it? I had it here. Smart Author Media. Chris, thank you so much for being here. I apologize. Usually I'm a little more organized, but I just came out of another episode, so I'm a little flabbergasted, if you will. But Chris, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Phil.
So we're going to jump right into it, Chris. Why did you want to become an entrepreneur? What was it? Why didn't you want to follow the traditional 9-to-5 grind that most people follow? What bit you to make you become an entrepreneur?
Well, my grind was actually like 4 a.m. till 6 p.m. and I was working away in the iron ore mines for 2 weeks at a time, like literally 14 days straight of work. And then I would have like 6.5 days off and then go back into that. So for me, the grind was pretty intense and it was very labor intensive, and there were some circumstances where I was able to use my brain, but it was just a very manual job. And to me, that like kind of just was not worth the money that I was earning, and it really left a lack of desire in my life. It made my relationships with friends hard. It made my relationship with my wife hard. And ultimately, entrepreneurship to me was not only a way to get out of that and into something better, but secondly, we all talk about financial freedom and things like that. Like that was just a shortcut for me to be able to look after my family and my future without having to work in that kind of job for decades, like most of my colleagues were.
And obviously save your body from the arduous work of mining, 14 days on, 66.5 days off. Not much rest as an iron ore, apparently, miner. But so what was your first venture, if you will, into the entrepreneurial space? Was it Smart Author Media?
Well, no. Technically, my first venture was a funnel development and CRO, conversion rate optimization agency. And that kind of transitioned into Smart Author Media. I took that skill set, leveraged it into what I'm doing now, and then just kind of tacked on, advertising as well. But I would say, even before that, I was kind of an entrepreneur with a digital marketing agency in Perth who basically did ads and funnels like what I do now, but wasn't niched. So I got a lot of rapid experience working with, their multi-million-dollar clients and things like that on the tools right out of the mining industry. So yeah, it was kind of a transition of like work for someone, really rapidly gain the skills. And then after about a year and a half, I ended up partnering with the owner of that company and started the funnel agency.
I like that. I like how your first venture outside of 9 to 5 grind, if you will, or the ore grind, if you will, was an entrepreneur. As you said, you were helping an entrepreneur, and then they invested in you to partner up and create that additional business. And now you took that skill set and 10x'd it into your own business. How did you decide? Because I know, like you mentioned before, they weren't niched. How did you decide that you wanted to be a niche for authors specifically? What called you to helping authors?
Well, I'm not sure about you, but like my journey has been riddled with lots of books, and books have been like an incredible gateway for me. Especially when I was in the mines, I was actually reading like one book a week, if not more. And I powered through Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like Robert Kiyosaki's stuff, then Tim Ferriss, and Tim Ferriss led me to like all of the other kind of entrepreneurial books. And I just went on this massive rabbit hole, and being able to support that for other people on their journey is incredibly impactful for me. And then I just, with working with my mentor, we kind of noticed that the author niche was being underserviced from a marketing and an ongoing support of marketing side. There's a lot of providers who do writing. There's a lot of providers who will do publishing and launch based marketing. So they'll do bestseller campaigns and things like that. But no one is really going, hey, I'll do the boring stuff and get you book sales consistently. And that's kind of where like I just carved my slice of the pie and said, this is what I do. This is how I help. And then over the past 2 years have been able to back it up with numbers, of course.
I love that. I love how you saw that the ongoing support that an author needs, or any business entrepreneur needs, pardon me, is that doing the day-to-day nastiness, if you will, of here, we'll consistently do the ads for you. We'll make sure the inventory and all that fun stuff that you handle for them. Plus you're getting to help people who have helped you, like the same type of people who are going to maybe inspire the next you, if you will, who's going to help other people. I love that. Has there been a challenge in helping authors that you were unexpected in this journey of yours?
Yes, there's been many actually. I would say the number one challenge for me was twofold. I think first and foremost, it was finding the right type of author to work with. I say I help authors market books. That could be very vast. There's lots of different types of books.
Uh-huh.
There's nonfiction books, there's fiction books, there's within the nonfiction side, there's autobiography-esque stuff, memoir stuff, there's more tactical stuff. And ultimately, what I led to in the whole broad scheme of things was working with business owners who have books, people who have written a book for their business, specifically as a lead gen for their business. And what that allows us to do is, like, number one, identify, hey, if they've written a book for their business, they're probably at a point in their business where they're financially set up enough where they can probably invest in advertising, which is like a really good distinguisher for me right away. And then number two, if they've written a book for their business, they probably have figured out how to consistently convert and sell leads into clients on the back end. And that's another big thing for us. It's like we want to sell books, but we want to do it with the intent of them being able to make a lot of money off the back of their book. And so most of my clients, like 95% of my clients, come in and they know that making money from their book isn't making money from their book sales. It's making money from the back end of their book when they get clients on the back. So that was like probably the biggest thing that I had to go through and, market other people's books and figure out through the process and the journey. And I would love to say it was like a within 2 weeks, I figured that out. It was like more like I figured it out in 12 months kind of thing. And then the second thing is just setting clear expectations around what we will do and how we can help with clients. So I don't really do any broad promises to clients. I don't tell them that we're going to do X when we can't actually achieve, or I don't think we can actually achieve that. I'll just be straight up with clients and let them know, like, this is what numbers look like. This is what I expect. And typically this is what the result you'll get on the back end will be. So, from my experience, just letting them know that, like, hey, when we sell books, roughly 1% of book buyers will become clients of yours. And that's just what I've seen after, selling, a couple of dozen thousands of books, over 25,000 books sold in the past 2 years, and have spent over, $500,000-$600,000 on marketing, on ads. So, that's just what I've seen just through the numbers.
I love that. And I do love how you set those clear expectations for your clients, because saying, oh yeah, we'll promise you the X, Y, Z, and then you under-deliver, you get that bad taste in your mouth, and it makes the client a bad client or an upset client will tell 10 people before a happy client tells 10 people, and your name's now gone. And I love how you go, look, this is what we expected after everything we've done. If you get more than that, great, but we're aiming for this for you and that. So I love that. And plus, with your expertise in different niches and expertise in the nonfiction and that, you're able to see what the numbers are. In your journey so far, I love how you said you invested in yourself while you were in the mines reading voraciously. And now you're obviously connected with a lot of entrepreneur business owners. So like you have that kind of expertise of getting an unlimited source of knowledge, if you will, from these books. Is there a book that you would consider maybe a holy grail, if you will, for entrepreneurs looking to start their venture that they should take, if you fundamentally look at and read?
I'm not sure there's an exact book to quote. A few that I love and have reread several times. I think the 4-Hour Workweek is a good one. It's not like very tactical, but just the ideologies behind Tim's experience is just something to open your eyes. And I read that. That's a big book. I've read that twice now, and both times I had some really good takeaways. I think the Russell Brunson series of books, the Secret series of books, is also quite good, and all of them are available for free plus shipping. So you can just go to like .comsecrets.com, trafficsecrets.com, or expertsecrets.com, and I think they have bundle offers in those funnels as well. I think the E-Myth by Michael Gerber is also a really great one, just for like being able to understand your expertise and backing yourself and being able to charge what you're worth and those kind of things. Because that's a big struggle that I had when I was first starting as an agency owner, is like actually charging money to the extent of the value that I was delivering, not just like what I thought it was worth, So those ones are pretty awesome. And that, there's so many other ones. I think there's heaps of other ones around like operations side of things, how to run your business. Like Profit First is a pretty good one for finances if you're not really good at finances to start anyway. And there's a whole rabbit hole of different books that I should recommend.
No, I love how like one book led to another. I have to agree with you. Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek is, I would consider a Bible for the digital entrepreneur, because it does talk about it. But the Secrets by Russell Brunson are also incredible books filled with knowledge upon knowledge that I think used to be hidden and now just open for everyone who takes the time to read it. So I think those 4 books are pretty much an MBA in digital entrepreneurship, or at least the start of your entrepreneurial journey, and would make fantastic reads. And definitely going to have the links in the show notes because they're worth it. What would you say is the biggest investment in yourself that you've done? could be monetary, or it could be something that's changed your life just to help you out there.
Well, I think first and foremost is like backing myself to go all in on this world is the number one thing. It was kind of monetary because I had to support myself financially after getting out of the mines, and my family as well. So, but that was definitely like the number one thing, and I never once considered going back onto my trade, like, falling back onto my trade and going, oh, I could always just go work a mining shutdown or something like that. Like I just was all in from the day I left that industry, and that has had its ups and downs. There's been some really good years in business, and there's been a couple of pretty average ones as well. There's been a lot of grind in some years, and some years like, more recently, last couple of years, it's been a little bit more relaxed with lifestyle as we've had our son and things like that. So, but certainly just being able to like fully commit to something and back myself, even though the circumstances weren't ideal, has probably been the number one thing for me.
Speaking of learning to back yourself and believing in yourself, which is somewhat of a hard thing for some people to do because, the life and voices get in their head. Did you ever have a problem backing yourself? Like, because you jumped into it full force, 100%. Did it take you time to get into that mode? Or were you always someone who believed in themselves enough to try anything?
I always had a belief in myself. I think the environment of others and what they think of you is probably more so why people don't believe in themselves, or that does play a role in how they feel about their decisions. So, like, what does your girlfriend or wife think? What do your in-laws think? What does your friends from your old industry think, or your high school friends, stuff like that. And I know some of us are a long way past high school now, but generally speaking,
some of us are, some of us are have high school friends from high school, because it's been a couple decades. But yes, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So there's always, the external perception that like from others that weighs on you, I think, and I think that generally will impact how confident people are in themselves. But for me, certainly, I've always had really good self-confidence, and I didn't let anyone's kind of perception or input waver what I was willing to do to kind of make things work. And definitely, like, the first year working for someone wasn't very financially rewarding, but then the first year in business was, and then we had a couple of average years in business, and then the last 2 years have been incredible. So, it has definitely paid off in the long run from a lifestyle freedom perspective. But then also, I've got good investments outside of business. I have a family that I love. We're doing well from a monthly recurring revenue standpoint. I've got a good team that I'm able to support. There's a lot of different things that have come and been rewarding for me through the journey.
I love that. I love how you're pointing out, even though you've had those rough, lean years, if you will, you also now get to enjoy some of the freedom that comes with the good years with your family and that. And I'm glad that you're able to appreciate that. That's something that's, I think, more business owners need to appreciate as well, the good years with their family, or at least with their partners. When you're working with authors who fit your bill, they understand that books lead to sales, not riches come from sales of books. What is something that you normally see is an issue with when they first, an issue that they have when they first come to you? Apart from the consistent sales that you'll bring them, what are some of the things that you need to work with them to get them to that point?
It's a good one. You stumped me there.
As a podcaster and as an interviewer, I'm always happy when that happens, because it means I get good questions. But as an entrepreneur, I hate it as well, because it's like, dang, I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah. Well, what they're not ready for. Um, yeah, I think it probably just comes down to like them not really understanding the numbers and how it kind of aligns with what their goals are. So like what selling 100 books actually does mean to their business. It seems like a small arbitrary number, but it can actually be quite impactful when we're talking about 1% of book buyers from my experience, becoming clients with them. If they're to work with them, if their investment is, 5, 10, 15, 20,000, like some of my clients are, then selling 100 books might cost us $3,000. And then getting a $5,000, a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 client on the back of that becomes very rewarding pretty quickly. And that's kind of on the low end as well, if they don't really follow up and have good nurture and conversion systems in place. So, once I kind of run through what it all looks like and the numbers that they need to achieve the success that they're shooting for, then ultimately it is an aha. It's an easy yes for most of my clients.
I like that. Like when they come to you, they don't really see the value of that 100 books. 100 books being sold, how much it can impact their bottom line as their business. Because I figure a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize that power of books, the power that books can bring to their business, just like understanding the power of a podcast episode, being a guest on a podcast can bring to their business as well.
Yeah.
If you could talk to the entrepreneurs that haven't written their books, what is maybe one thing that they can do, or why they should start writing their books and then come to you to continue the success of selling those books?
Yeah, I think the key thing is that there's a correlation between consumption and the amount of money that someone will spend with you. And what does that mean essentially? Consumption, like people listening to you on a podcast, whether it's your show or on other people's shows, consuming your YouTube videos or content that way, or consuming a book. I think each method has its benefits. Podcasts are much more conversational and enjoyable from that perspective, but there's not really a specific journey from A to Z that someone will go on as they're listening to your podcast. It's kind of, if you have guests, it's kind of different every episode. If you are doing solo episodes, maybe you're just talking about what you feel like talking about at that time. So it's not really a concise journey that someone's going through. It's just time and consumption that they're spending with you. They're getting to know, like, and trust you more as a host. And alternatively, if you're a guest on people's shows, then it's kind of the same thing. If they listen to you on multiple different shows, then they might get a little bit from each one. Whereas a book, it's, it is consumption. They're getting to know, like, and trust the words that you're saying and the expertise that you're portraying. But specifically, it's you're starting them here and you're actually taking them on a very concise journey to here. And it helps them to understand that, hey, if Chris has a process, a methodology for selling books and he's written about it in his own book, then it's quite likely that Chris knows how to market books. He has a system for this and he knows how to consistently get results. And so, like, that same applies to people who have books that talk about selling, that talk about investing, that talk about podcasting, whatever. Like that, there's a specific process. Plus, they're also consuming and taking time to read your book, which for most people is like, 2 to 8 hours of reading kind of thing. Generally speaking, for most books. So if someone sat down and spent 2 to 8 hours talking to you about your systems, your processes, your stories, and all that kind of stuff, then most likely, if you know what you're talking about, they're going to be like, wow. And if they're interested, they're going to be like, wow, how can I work with you on something like that? So to me, long story short, books are probably the number one way, from my perspective, to actually indoctrinate someone to wanting to work with you if it makes sense for them at that time. And then furthermore, to market that as an asset on the front of your business is not only a way to get that into more people's hands, to have those ahas, but it's also an incredible way for you to build authority and credibility. Because if you have a book and your competitors don't, who do you think someone's going to choose? Just based on that merit. And lastly, I think it's an incredible gateway. You can get speaking opportunities, you can talk to people, you can send your books out as gifts to people that you might want to work with. So it's an incredible gateway for you to get something incredibly valued that you've spent time, energy, and resources on that's going to change someone's life or business into their hands.
No, that's now I need to write a book. Chris, you're compelling me to write a book on podcasting, because it's I know it's going to help so many people, but and then just come to you and just let you handle the back end of it so that I don't have to deal with the day-to-day of selling a book. Chris, we are coming to the end, which I hate because I'm having a great time chatting with you. I'm glad that we were able to organize this time, because the time difference isn't a little difficult when you're on the bottom side and on the top side of the world. But with this last little bit, I was wondering, I have the 10-year-old version of you right beside me, a Spitfire, great talking with him. Scares me, gotta say. Younger version of you is a little scary. Just so much energy, but what's one piece of advice you would love to give your 10-year-old self?
10-year-old me had a lot of bullying and self-esteem issues. And there was many hardship lessons growing up, financially and all of that. But I think I learned a lot of really great lessons as well, just through that. I would say to 10-year-old me is just own who you are and just back yourself unconditionally. And just keep working through to achieve what you want in life.
I love that. That's amazing advice. I'm going to jump off screen here, Chris. I want you to let my audience know, to all those authors out there that are listening, how they can work with you, how they can connect with you, and what's the best way about going about it. So the floor, sir, is yours.
All right. So you can connect with me at smartauthormedia.com. There will be a green button in the corner on the main hero section where you can book a chat with me. And essentially that's a free consulting session that you can have with me. We'll talk about how you can market your book if you have one and are already marketing it. And if you haven't started marketing it yet, then we can also put some action plans into place for you. And literally I charge $1,000 an hour for consulting. So it's, it's worth a lot of money that time with me. And if you want our help to help implement the strategy and the system that we spoke about, then absolutely there will be an option there as well. So yeah, smartauthormedia.com, and there's a green button to book in a chat with me.
I love it. Keeping it simple as 1, 2, 3. Chris, I can't thank you enough for being here and sharing your journey with us and talking about how important a book is for business owners.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Phil. It's been a pleasure.
To my audience, of course, as you know, down the show notes will be all those lovely links to Chris and Smart Author Media. I'll make sure that the link is straight to the green button so that you guys can click straight to talking with Chris and getting that amazing pieces of advice. Chris, again, thank you so much. To my audience, thank you so much for listening. And remember always to invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.